Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here. So YouTube came out with this inspiration tab a while back. I don't know how long it's been there. I've clicked into it by accident a couple times because it's right next to videos on my dashboard. But what it's supposed to be is YouTube's AI just gives you a video idea. It also gives you like a little AI artwork, which really wish they wouldn't include that. You don't need that to go along with the actual video idea. Definitely not condoning that. But I've largely ignored it up to now. But I randomly saw some people tweeting about them getting like really weird suggestions from it that they thought were really funny. So when I saw those tweets, I had the idea, what if I did like a content roulette where I look in the inspiration tab, we go through the options, and either I pick a topic or I use a random number generator. I already downloaded in case I decide to do that. And I just let it like randomly pick one for me. And then I impromptu have to make a video on whatever topic I actually get. So I don't know if this idea is going to work. I don't really like the idea of using AI. It was just a funny idea I came up with. So I decided it was, we'll give it a shot. But yeah, I've got my dashboard open right here. You can see the inspiration tab in the top left. And we're going to click into that. We're going to see what it populates with, how many options it populates with. And we'll go from there because I may not be qualified to make videos on some of these things if it gives me topics that I'm just not familiar with. I'd assume it's going to give me all Final Fantasy XIV, or at least all Final Fantasy topics. So let's roll the dice. Let's see what the inspiration tab has for us today. So you can actually enter a topic on the right-hand side too. How does solar power work? All right, so video 7.4. Bro, we're not even at 7.3. What do you... Why is that a very popular topic? Patch 7.4 is just around the corner and excitement is building. Yeah, it's around the corner at like December 16th at the earliest, January 6th at the latest. That's a little weird one. Final Fantasy XIV's legacy content, is it worth revisiting? What is this thumbnail, man? Wait, is that a treasure map with a spear through it? I don't even know what that's supposed to be. How Final Fantasy XIV's mobile economy hurts the main game. I mean, I could rework that idea into, does Final Fantasy XIV mobile negatively impact retail in some capacity, I guess. 4, how to make the most of your free trial. You know what's funny? I actually almost made that exact video several times. There was one thing that I actually couldn't figure out good advice for. And so it's actually interesting because that is an idea that I've had before. And Final Fantasy wait. Final Fantasy XIV, explore the future of tanking. And they include a picture of it. What even? It's like a tank firing a laser and then an armored core with a laser sword and a bunch of other lasers. Oh my goodness. I don't think the roulette idea is the best thing. I think if anything for this first one, maybe we use it as a means of just getting a bunch of different topics, because none of these I've done a video on content that's worth revisiting before. But 4 of the topics, and this topic is also one that I've done. We'll talk about these. I think for this video, just to gauge everyone's interest in the ideas that I've set forth, we'll play it kind of safe. Now you know what I can actually get. I suppose I could just do a reroll and see if it gives me new ideas as well. But for now, we'll actually go through each of these topics and make them all a part of it. And I'll let you guys dictate how we do it in the future, if we do it again. Like I said, I don't really like this how the AI art pops up here. And as hilarious as it is, it's also, I'd rather not have it on the screen or not have to, I guess it's kind of endorsed in a sense. But yeah, let's go through each of these topics and see what it is I have to say about each. So the first topic is patch 7.4, what we know and what we want. It's funny that it just skips over 7.3 because you'd think that it would have defaulted to that. But 7.4, I think everything that we know about 7.4 is largely accounted for. We did get some recent confirmations about stuff that's planned for 7.4. But so let's cover the basics. We know, of course, MSQ, but specifically MSQ, that's going to be leaning towards getting us to 8.0. It's going to be far more teasing the next expansion centric because Dawn Trail is getting its actual finale in 7.3. So MSQ, let's just rattle off the basics. A new trial, a new extreme version, a new dungeon, probably updates to big fishing, a new... Actually, we won't see a new Allied Society there, will we? Because we should be getting the last one on 7.3x. So new Hildebrand, we'll go with that. We know we'll be getting the normal raid. We'll be getting the final Arcadian raid. We know we'll be getting a Savage version of that, almost certainly, again, a week delayed after the first one. And then amongst the other things we know, we actually do know a decent bit. We know we're getting another Cosmic Exploration planet. We know that we're getting a variant dungeon, most likely with a Criterion attached to it. We know that we are getting new phantom jobs inside of Occult Crescent. Some people seem to think we're getting that in 7.3. We're not. We're getting new phantom jobs. I think specifically 3 new phantom jobs in 7.4X and Occult Crescent. New relic step. And I think that's everything we know for certain. I'd say, and then of course, a new update for the Cosmic Exploration tools themselves. The things that we have question marks about are actually Blue Mage and Beastmaster. So we were told we're getting a Blue Mage update. They're going to take it to level 90. And we were told we're getting Beastmaster in late Dawn Trail. I guess actually there's more features, but I'll circle back around to that. So the question is, do we get the Beastmaster update in 4X and the Blue Mage update in 5X, or do they do it the other way around? I think it's Blue Mage level 90 in 7.4X and Beastmaster honestly only going from levels 1 to 50 in 7.5X, if it even has a traditional like 1 to X leveling system like Blue Mage does. And then, yeah, and that's kind of the biggest question mark that we have. There are some other things. The TARDIS housing is not in 7.3. They said they need a little more time, so that's 7.4. The increase to the item limit for housing, also, that could be 7.4, it could not be. The raid planner is currently planned for 7.4. I'd say that's all I'm really confident in saying we're getting, not even for sure, but like the things that we kind of know are on that timetable, I suppose. Among them, obviously, I love having a new Savage tier, but the big thing for me is Criterion. They really need to nail it this time, or it really is the nail in the coffin for Criterion itself, the reward structure. I'm hoping that because it's just after the Savage tier, they'll wait like 8-9 weeks, put out Criterion, give it meaningful gear progression, so people who are struggling to get through the Savage tier and maybe want a little bit more gear, or people who want to gear alts, or people who just don't really feel comfortable doing 8-man content but want to do more difficult 4-man content, have an option. I think that's the place for Criterion if it has a place in the future at all. And if they can't motivate people to do it in 0.4, I think you just sack it and come up with a new idea. I think the whole quantum idea you maybe revisit for other pieces of content. I actually would really like it if the secret boss from Variant was the quantum encounter, and then Criterion is like, Criterion being like a hard / Savage equivalent for the bosses and the trash, what we've seen before, and then quantum for the secret boss that we get as part of the 12th path. And then that's adjustable, but we need to see if quantum even works okay before we can do that. So yeah, that's patch 7.4, what we know and what we want. Second video, Final Fantasy XIV's legacy content. Is it worth revisiting? This is probably being filtered in here because I'm someone who likes to go back and do old content that I haven't done before. I did just start big fishing not long ago. I am a world-class troller for ocean fishing. And but then there's a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, people always ask about going back and doing Eureka, going back and doing Bozia, going back and doing the Variant Criterion, starting their Island Sanctuary. And this isn't like a be-all, end-all answer because a lot of legacy content has continued to be updated. It's just that it's kind of so part of the formula that you don't really think about going back to old content. Like some people like to go back, do min item level, no echo of the old raids. Some people like to do the low item level challenges for the old Savage raids. You know, then there's going back and doing Blue Mage if you never got caught up with it. Is it worth revisiting? I mean, honestly, the generic answer is just only if you actually see something you care about. Like, I'm someone who likes to explore as many facets of a game as I can because I'm going to play the game. I really don't want to, you know, put myself on rails too much to the point where I only have like specific things that I never kind of open my mind up to trying new things. But you can't tell someone it's worth it. There are certain activities that I think are valuable to do. I think if you still have jobs leveling from 1 to 50, unlocking squadrons is absolutely worth. Squadrons, they obliterate the dungeon levels that you can do, but their AI is really outdated and you have to micromanage them a decent bit. Even with the new dungeon designs, they probably even got a little bit more annoying to micromanage in some of the lower level dungeons after they were reworked. So I would say only if you care, because you really have to just want to checklist things. Like if you're someone who likes to like checklist items off of things that you haven't done, that's like the only way I can definitively say yes. But if you're someone who's like you have a specific interest and you don't really, and you don't really like the ideas that 14 had before in the old content, even if people are doing it, then the answer is no. I mean, you just can't force yourself to be interested in something. So I'm gonna stay neutral, but I'm gonna say for most people the answer is probably no. How Final Fantasy XIV Mobile's economy hurts the main game. The recent introduction of 14 Mobile has created a new economic landscape for the game. I don't understand what the problem is I feel like this is treating mobile like it's attached to the main game in some way when it's A, it's only out in China, but B, it's completely unrelated. But I will say this. Final Fantasy XIV Mobile is kind of just a confusing project for a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand what the point of it is. A lot of people don't understand that it's separate from the retail game. A lot of people are looking for the connections to be made. I don't know. It's one of those things that because it's only out in a region that a lot of people don't actively look for the information from. It's really just coming secondhand from people like me or people who have played the Chinese version. So does it hurt the main game? I don't think it helps is the big thing, because with Final Fantasy XIV Mobile, not even the economy, but the features in that game, because it's built from the ground up on a newer engine, it has a lot more versatility in the things it can accomplish with the glamour system, with the UI elements, how they're much more vibrant and alive. They're still very mobile coded, like they take up the whole screen. You can't really multitask while you're doing things, and there is still absolutely some jank involved. But it's less about the economy hurting the main game and more like the interest. Does the interest in mobile, does it threaten retail? And I don't think we have definitive information. Having played 14 Mobile already, I think most people who already play 14 will, if they try it at all, will see it as like a momentary distraction to kind of almost play like Final Fantasy 14 Classic Plus or Classic Remix in a sense. And that'll kind of be the end of it for them, because at the end of the day, it is still Final Fantasy 14. You still are doing expert roulette or, doing the raids or a few things, but it's built to have a lot more short-term activities. Like going in and doing treasure maps is almost certainly part of your daily. Your roulettes are way more important because you're going to be buying materia to overmeld with that. Fates are a little more valuable because it's the same deal. You're going to be buying materia with the bicolor gemstones. Bicolor gemstones exist in A Realm Reborn. But I can tell you that I don't feel that spark with it. It still very much it feels like it doesn't belong, if that makes sense. So this is TBD, but I don't think so. I think it's, for most people, just going to be something they do on the side between the main game's release to experience the differences. Or, honestly, I don't know. I actually don't know if it's going to even remotely be successful. It's really hard to say for certain. Oh, Final Fantasy XIV, how to make the most of your free trial. Man, so like I said, I actually was in the middle of making this exact video, before Dawn Trail even came out. The reason why I didn't end up doing it is because I came to a problem that I didn't have a solution for. And that solution was the problem with Gil. So in the free trial, your Gil cap's at 300,000 and you have no access to retainers, the market board, and you basically just have your inventory. I don't even remember if you have your saddlebag. I think you do have your saddlebag I don't know. You either just have your inventory or inventory plus the saddlebag. And I was trying to figure out a way to, when you get to 300,000 Gil, to buy items that you can then sell later in order to basically reserve your Gil. So like you would buy items when you got to near 300,000, and then when you started playing the game all the way through, you would just sell those items either on the market board or just back to another vendor. The problem is that you would have to be buying items off the vendor. So it becomes a matter of telling people, hey, people regularly buy this item off the market board for far more than the NPC vendor price because they're too lazy. And you can make a decent amount of money doing that. But I had a hard time coming to a definitive conclusion that was actually good for the entire free trial. Because the problem is you make several million Gil, and I don't think any of the options you had enough inventory space to do. So like, honestly, as long as you don't care about the loss of Gil playing after you get 300,000, the most of the free trial is that you're not paying real money. So level as many jobs as possible, do all the MSQ related to it, and unlock everything that you possibly can. But because I didn't have the answer to that one question, I should have just said that I didn't have the answer to that question in that video, and maybe the comment section would have come up with something, I might actually still make that video now that we're talking about it, because now it's on my head again, and I would really like to get that video out, because it's one of the things that frustrated me the most that I never actually got to finish making. And Final Fantasy XIV, explore the future of tanking. The ever-evolving world of 14 tanking is explored, delving into the current state of the world and speculating on potential future changes from new abilities and gear. Oh, God. This is why AI just produces such slop. And using it as a basis for videos was always going to be a risky idea. But I'm already committed, so I'm doing this. The future of tanking, I am not qualified to talk about what tanks should be getting and what tanks should be doing. But as someone who DPSs in fights, I can see how the tank is interacting with a boss, and more times than not, tanks just kind of sit there. I mean, the whole, everyone's a glorified DPS thing. With tanks, it almost feels even more true, but at least they have a rotation in a sense. They actually have to kind of think about getting around and into their 2 minutes a little bit more than the healers do. And so I think that we probably need to see from the future of tanking things that just engage the tank more. Valagarmanda's Tank Buster gave us so much hope that they were actually going to create some far more interactive ways for tanks to protect the rest of the party while needing to deal with themselves. Honestly, it still stands out as probably, for me, the biggest combat disappointment in the whole expansion is that we got that Tank Buster and then tanks went to doing absolutely nothing interesting for the longest time. There are a few things that are moderately interesting that the tanks do, especially when it comes to like the ad phase and M6S, or, needing to round up mobs in M7. There's like a few things here or there where the tank gets slightly more engaged. Heck, I would honestly even say the AoEs that like revolutionary, what's the other one? I haven't done M8S in like, God, I don't even know how many weeks, like 8 weeks, 9 weeks at this point. I think I just remember revolutionary out and something else in. But for M8S's, where he dashes around and then does either the point blank AoE or the conal AoE. That's also really engaging for the tanks because their positioning is a lot more important and could be a lot scarier to get correct. I saw a lot of tank deaths in my group and in other groups. You just need to make it so the tanks aren't doing the same exact mechanic as everyone else, or that their knowledge and ability to position, pop their cooldowns correctly, those things need to be rewarded more. And honestly, I think that without increasing the frequency of damage dealt by bosses, you lower a lot of opportunities to make that more interesting for the tanks themselves. It's crazy that one of my favorite tank busters is still A7S with the multi-hit tank buster, because it put a lot of pressure on the tanks, and it just basically... The auto attacks in between are really threatening and makes the auto attacks more threatening. And then the auto attacks become an entire thing that has to be managed by the tanks. Not to mention the repositioning of the boss, getting the boss from phase A to phase B to dodging environmental stuff. There's just a lot of engagement. I'd say A7 is a pretty prime example of how you get your tanks more engaged without making them do the exact same thing that everyone else is doing. So maybe we need to go thinking less about the future of tanking and more about the past of tanking and what tanks enjoyed about certain encounters there, and then replicate some of those ideas in our newer content. And you can do it in easier content too. You don't need to make it like ultra punishing, but if you give your tanks some sort of designed responsibility that's really exclusive to them and isn't just a part of the same cogs that everyone else is spinning upon, you make that role feel like they made the right decision playing that role. And they need to figure that out sooner rather than later. Because tanking, I felt so bad for tanks in recent years. Because while everyone else could be like homogenization, this, homogenization, that, tanks are just like, bro, at least you get to play the game in some capacity. I just sit here and I take less damage than everyone else, and it's like I'm not even playing the game otherwise. So yeah, that's what I think about the future of tanking. All right, that was interesting. I don't know how I will do that in the future if I do it again. I really like the idea of just getting a random topic instead of just grabbing every topic and making it one video, but none of these topics really grabbed me. So it might just have to be a feel your way through it. I don't even know what I'm going to call this video, but at the very least, I got to talk a little bit about some of this stuff, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed a few of the topics that we had here. So let me know what you thought of the video, of the idea, and if I were to continue it, what you would want to see from it in the future. I think I'll give this video, I let YouTube's AI decide my next video. Would be the name of the video or something like that. But I want you guys, we need to come up with a better structure for it in the future. But figured I would just do this real quick. I thought it would be funny. And it is, because this just doesn't make any sense. And we'll see where it goes in the future. So thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for all the latest Final Fantasy XIV videos that you've come to expect over the years. Reminder, I will be on vacation, so 7.3 guides are not happening. By the time I get back and even do the content, PF's already going to have a set strat. There's no point in me just copying PF strat and then doing that. You know what I mean? It's just going to be more confusing in that sense. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Until then, take care.